Good afternoon, everyone. Please put a thumbs up in the chat if you can. If you can hear me, we're going to get started in just a few, but I want to give some time for a couple more people to join. Awesome. We'll give just one more minute for some more people to join. I'm seeing a few thumbs up. Thank you. And if you wouldn't mind, if you have joined and your mic is not muted, please go ahead and mute your mic. Okay, this meeting is being recorded. I will be letting a couple people in as they join in the next few minutes, but why don't we just go ahead and kick it off with an icebreaker? I was able to attend or eat at Little Big Cup this past weekend. Just add to the chat what you might consider your favorite restaurant here in Acadiana, so we can get some activity in the chat and let a few more people join. Ooh, we've got Old Time, the Po' Boys, yes. Social. Chimes, I like the oysters there. Got some good ones coming in. Ooh, sushi from Rock'n'Saki. Don't want to start any fights, but those are some great suggestions. Well, awesome. Thank you guys for sharing. My name is Chasa West. I am the Director of External Affairs and Communications here at Community Foundation of Acadiana. In order to kind of get us started, I did want to do some very brief intros, and I will also then get to the agenda. Let me admit a couple more people as they come in. Okay. Missy and Nicole, I know you guys are in here. So I'm going to throw it to you, Missy, to just do a quick name introduction and whatnot. Are you able to unmute yourself?
Of course, of course. So sorry. Hey, everybody, Missy Bienvenu Andrade. I'm the president and CEO here at the Community Foundation. I'm seeing a lot of familiar names, so great to see some of you again. And if we have not yet met, I'm certainly looking forward to meeting you one day soon.
Perfect. And then just to get a quick intro from you, Nicole, in the spotlight view.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Nicole Abear. I am an events manager here at Community Foundation, and I've been here for 5 years. I'm also assisting with our scholarship and grant life cycle managers, and I'm looking forward to taking you all through the process of getting registered and applying for our eligibility quizzes and for our interest form.
Awesome. Okay. I'm going to leave Missy on a spotlight because we're going to hear from her very briefly. Spotlighting. But just to get a bit of, oh, and if you would like to put your organization name in the chat so that some of the other attendees might get an idea of just who we've got joining us today, I think that would be great. So you can go ahead and put that in there, and I will briefly cover all of the topics that we're going to be hearing about today. So we're going to hear a little bit from Missy at the top here about Community Foundation of Acadiana, just in case anyone is unfamiliar. We're going to hear a little bit about what these affiliate foundations, who are the driving force behind these affiliate grants, who they are, and what that structure is, and a little bit about, why in CFA's history we are now taking the step into competitive grants. I'll cover a little bit about what the project or program pieces should look like, what's going to make a good project or program, and what a successful submission will look like. We're going to touch a little on what is not funded and just really reiterate who is eligible. We're going to hear a little bit about the focus areas of each of these affiliates. You'll get to gain a little bit of an understanding that while this is a big overall process, there really are 5 smaller processes that are running concurrently, and you'll understand a little bit more about that. Then you're going to get a sneak peek into that first round of the process. What is the application going to look like? Nicole Abear is going to walk us through the system. This is a system that some people might be familiar with, but because this is the first year we are launching this program, we just want to make sure that people have an understanding of what they'll be seeing and expecting when they get into the system. So that's a bit of that walkthrough, and then we'll close it off with a Q&A. So if that sounds good, I'm going to throw it back to Missy to give us a bit of an overview.
Thank you, Chasa. Well, again, good afternoon, everybody, and we're excited to talk to you about this process. Hopefully, we've worked together through the Community Foundation of Acadiana before, but if not, we do want to give you a little bit of a lay of the land. Your Community Foundation of Acadiana is actually 25 years old this year. And we have a very clear and important mission. And it's really about connecting generous people to the causes that they care about. We care a great deal about helping people and organizations build legacies and helping them to improve their community. And we know that a lot of that happens by connecting people like you who are really doing the work with funders and individuals who have resources to spend or invest in the great work of nonprofits in the region. Again, we are a nonprofit. We are a 501c3. And interestingly, the Community Foundation, unlike many of you who is doing programmatic work in the community, our structure is a bit different, where we are an umbrella organization and we are made up of hundreds, really more than 1,000 different types of funds. Some of those are for individuals, some of them are for organizations like you. Some of them are tied towards certain fields of interests, like the parishes that we're going to talk about today. But that is the structure of the Community Foundation, and we really serve as the back office support to help people in their giving and to be that conduit of ideas and opportunities to solve problems in our community. For the last 25 years, we've been very, very donor-centered. To my predecessor's credit, the Community Foundation grew year over year since inception. And so this interesting juncture for us is going to be an opportunity to build upon that and to look a bit more at the impact side of our work, in addition to that donor-centric work that we've always done. Again, it's our 25th year. There's a lot to celebrate. Initiatives like this one are one of the things that you'll see this year that we hope to take the Community Foundation, not in a different direction, but really building upon a really rich history, a strong history, to start doing things a little bit differently. And we think the time is right for that. We do serve an 8-parish area. Now, I will, just to clarify, the vast majority of all grant dollars leaving the Community Foundation does stay in the Acadiana area, although people are able to use their funds beyond the boundaries of our 8 parishes. Today, we have about 227 million in assets under management, and a number we love to share. Since the beginning of the Community Foundation, we have accepted and received more than 406 million, and more importantly, 235 million have been granted back out into the community. So this organization has done a lot of good work over the last 25 years, and we're hoping that this new initiative is something that's going to help us do even more. So you may be asking yourself, why are we doing a competitive grants process? Many of you know that we are shifting away from Sola Giving Day, which we've done for more than 7 years now. It was a really successful program, and I think there's a lot to celebrate with it. But as we dug into our own strategic direction, we definitely felt like there were some rocks that we needed to turn over and really look underneath to figure out not how do we just keep doing the same thing, but how do we really grow and expand upon that. So our new strategic plan, which you're in the process of implementing right now, our board wanted to look ahead 10 years to 2034 to say, what are we going to look like? What is going to be the work of the Community Foundation? And so we have really encompassed that through the words that you're seeing on your screen right now, that CFA is an organization that's focused on leveraging available resources and working with donors to create discernible impact that enhances the quality of life in our region. How are we going to do that? We want to be inclusive of people, ideas, and resources. We are going to be a connector and a convener for donors, nonprofits, and for the community. And lastly, we want to do this by facilitating impact through collaboration. So we spent a whole lot of time last year on our strategic planning process and really studying other community foundations to learn more about how they do their work and figuring out what could we adopt, what could we introduce into our own work that we felt like would be a good fit for the Acadiana region. So we did look at an expansion into relational organizations with an eye on civic leadership that is strategic, collaborative, and inclusive. So going back to my comments earlier about being a very donor-centric organization, we've been really good at helping people do exactly what they ask us to do in their individual and personal grant making. We really wanted to look at that bigger picture to say, how can the Community Foundation be more of a civic leader to connect and convene and to facilitate more collaboration, not just among organizations, but between donors and organizations and their work as well. We did go through the process of really figuring out, was SOLA the right fit for us? Did we need to look at something else? And ultimately our board said, look, we want to be an organization that is focusing on being transformational, not just transactional. We want to be able to help people in our community learn more about the work that is really happening. We want to bring new donors into the fold. And so we felt like with all of those different things that moving SOLA Giving Day out of kind of the focus of how we engaged with nonprofits was going to be the right move for us. And it was going to allow us to look at opportunities like this one, which we've been studying other community foundations and feel very strongly that this is the right next step. This is what is going to not only be able to move resources into our community, but more importantly, we think it's going to engage donors in a different way and a more effective way. One thing that I want to say, and I say it every day if you've met me, I'm still pretty new. I still have a lot to learn. Yes, I'm the CEO here, but I don't have all of the answers, and none of us do. So for us, we're looking at this grants process as a learning opportunity for everyone across the board, as a learning opportunity for us as an organization, for you as prospective grantees, as well as for our donors. And part of why we want to impress that upon the group is because we want to remain flexible. I want, after this process, to be able to say, this worked really well. This could have worked a little bit differently. How do we improve this process? What could we be doing better to refine it in order to be that conduit of information and opportunity for our donors? So we want to look at this entire process not as we have all the answers and it's static and nothing is going to change. We feel really good about the starting place, the starting point where we are right now, but we're hoping that we're all going to be on this learning journey together so that we can adapt and evolve as things come and as we're learning about how to make it better. And as you all know, your work is very organic too. The way that you did your work maybe in year one versus now, that's maybe changed with how, with the impacts that you're making and the different folks and clients that you're working with in your community. And so we're looking at this in the same way. Our goal is to improve the quality of life for anyone and everyone in the Acadiana area by leveraging charitable and philanthropic resources. We know that's going to be a little bit of a moving target, and we're excited about that and hope you are too.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Missy. I'm, personally excited about those words that you guys are probably going to hear a lot today, and that's the strategic part, the collaborative part, and the inclusive part. I think as we even pivot into talking about projects on a specific level, and also let me do a quick change of the spotlight if I can. Here we go. Even as we talk about projects specifically, I think that that's something we're hoping is baked into projects or programs, as we together make an impact. So I'm just here to lay a little of the rules of the road as we continue through this process, but to also just be an encourager to say, as you are thinking about what you are going to put in your first round application, or if you're just still brainstorming and kind of seeing what is going on, we want to say that we're embracing the approach of being strategic, collaborative, and inclusive. We are excited for projects that are going to be innovative and creative in some way. And, we really are looking for those community needs to be addressed. And I will just take a moment here to pause and say that as you are filling out the application to seek funding, don't be afraid to spell out what your project will address within the community. Don't assume that everyone who will read your packet will know exactly what your organization does just by seeing the organization's name. So, as you'll continue to hear, there's a selections committee. There are basically 5 selections committees, each one tied to a parish. And so we know that that's made up of people who will be taking in this information, looking at the impact, but they may not automatically associate or know, if you say the name of the organization, what the outcome of a project would be or what that organization does. So I just wanted to take a moment to emphasize that. And, where possible, continue to put examples of who you're serving, what those populations are, especially if it's something where your project or program is bringing access to populations that typically don't get that access. That's the underserved populations or economically diverse populations, because what we really want to do is foster access to for community connections. Getting a little more specific into the detail of requests that we're envisioning. That does include things like equipment and materials, some programming or direct services, and the potential for some, construction material or things like that. I wanted to make the note that these are grants between $2,000 and $5,000. They're not gigantic grants in this inaugural year, in this first year, but we are really, kicking this off excited to be able to build something that would be sustainable and be able to return year after year and grow as each cycle happens. And so, as we said, this initial one is, we can kind of look at it as a testing ground. And with that as well, we are preferring projects that would cover that 1-year time frame so that we can see the impact that is being made and be able to share the successes, especially as we're in the very beginning stages of this. Just a little more guidance as you end up filling out that application. I'm just going to point out on this slide, I'm not going to read everything off of it, but, we're looking to support projects that will have sustainable impact, again, demonstrating that community need. And as you fill out the application, be sure to clearly outline your project plan so that we can kind of see the outcomes that would be matching with it and be able to see where exactly you're thinking about going with this project. You'll also hear me say that I will be available for some questions and outreach. Nicole Hebert will be available. So if there's something that you're thinking about and you're not sure if it exactly fits, please get in touch with us. You'll see our contact information at the very end. We want to be able to have that conversation. Okay, as we're setting out the rules of the road, just a bit of a detour to say what is not funded. So these affiliate grants are not going to be funding endowments. These are not funds that can go to individuals. These go to 501c3s, ongoing operating expenses, or as you'll see at that bottom, retroactive expenses. Those are not part of the program, or programs or capital projects that have already been completed. We'd also like to make a note that things like sponsorships or political partisan purposes are not projects that we're seeking to fund right now. What does that leave? This is just to emphasize that 501c3 status, publicly supported organizations, that includes nonprofits, schools, churches, hospitals, some municipalities, and that important part when I go back to talking about the 5, basically the 5 affiliates that are doing the funding, that is the Evangeline affiliate, the Iberia affiliate, the St. Landry affiliate, the St. Mary affiliate, and the Vermilion affiliates of Community Foundation of Acadiana. Make sure that when you are filling out that both pieces of the first round application, this is the eligibility quiz we'll talk a little bit about shortly, and that interest form, be sure you are clicking the correct parish to match with the application you are filling out. This is important because we just want to make sure that your info goes to the right selections committee. I'm going to take a moment here to cover what the focus areas are of each of these affiliates. And after that, I'm going to do a little pause in case there are any questions that people want to put in the chat. So if you want to be thinking about a question or wondering something, put it in momentarily, but I'm first going to go over the focus areas, okay? So the Evangeline Foundation, as they got together, deciding what they wanted to support, they are looking for projects that are within the community or economic development space or the education and youth development space. And I think there's a great point here that the community and economic development space is a little broad. So I do think there are a number of projects that could fit under there. But just to note, those two areas are what fit under the Evangeline Foundation, affiliate foundation focus. The Iberia Foundation is wanting to fund projects for community and economic development, health and human services, education and youth development, and also arts and culture. The St. Landry Affiliate Foundation is, again, covering community and economic development, health and human services, and their third area is education and youth development. The fourth affiliate, the St. Mary Affiliate Foundation, is looking to cover community and economic development, health and human services, education and youth development, natural resources and environmental causes, as well as arts and culture. And then we've got our fifth one, which is the Vermilion Affiliate Foundation. And that one's covering the most areas: community and economic development, health and human services. We've got education, youth development, natural resources and environmental, and again, arts and culture. So as you'll see, not every single affiliate is doing every single area. That is something to pay attention to. So before I jump into that overall process, if there are any questions that somebody might want to put in the chat, I will give a few moments for that. And just to note, as you are filling out the application in the portal, you will be able to see the description of all of these areas. Oh, that's a good question. Okay, so we've got the question about what area does Lafayette Parish sit under? So these 5 affiliates that are launching a grants process are the ones that we've covered. Lafayette is not included within that. So if you do have a project, if you are based in Lafayette, but you have a project that would maybe see you expand into one of these parishes, that is something that you could consider as an application. Lafayette Parish and a few of the other parishes, that will be a process that will be launching as competitive grants later, hopefully later in the year. So those will be more so Acadiana-wide grants, Acadiana-wide organizations. And so for this specific affiliate grants program, those 5, Evangeline, Iberia, St. Landry, St. Mary, and Vermilion are the only 5 parishes with a process currently. We've also got the question of if an organization can apply for more than one grant in this cycle. So the thing I would encourage is for one project during this cycle. We have a Q&A that we'll get to at the end. That would be the overall recommendation, just so that you are able to focus on that application. If there is something that you are looking to do that you know at this point is like definitely going to be in more than one parish, please reach out to us. Let's have the conversation so we can figure out what might be the best fit for you there. Do we apply to the affiliate that is in the area we are based in or the area that we serve? So the as long as the project or program is something that will enhance and grow that affiliate's area, we're saying that you can apply. If you are based in, let's say, Vermilion Parish, then absolutely, definitely, please consider applying for that one. If you are in St. Landry, again, if that parish is where you are based, we absolutely want to see you apply. If you happen to be in another parish and, again, a project that you would do could expand into another area, we want to see that application to be considered. Would you mind going back to the slide with grant use suggestions? Yeah, let me do that really quickly. I think this is the slide you might be talking about. And I'll give it a few moments and then we'll continue on and we'll have some more questions that can be answered at the very end. Awesome. Okay. So what we're looking at now is just a broad overview so that you can get a big picture of what this process includes. We're currently in the stage that we're calling the first round applications, and that's going to be open until May 14th. So you have some time to go into the system, fill out your eligibility quiz, and look at the questions for the interest form / letter of intent, and get that submitted. Those applications are then going to be reviewed just so that we can make sure if there's any anything that needs to be corrected or just expanded a little, we can do that. But essentially, then the invitations would go out that will allow people to fill out that second round application. That is like a much longer, fuller application. And so we just wanted to make sure that people on the front end are thinking about the right kind of project, are 501c3, and are, definitely operating in the parish that they are intending to operate in. So that second round application, you'll see a sneak peek of those questions, but I won't go too deep into that because right now we're still in that first phase. But the selection committees will go through and review those second round applications. And once they make their selections, then the nonprofits will be notified, and that notification will likely be happening in September. I think we have somebody who's joined. I just want to make sure. We are currently recording and we'll be able to share the recording. Absolutely. Okay. And the note you'll just see here is that, and I'll touch on it briefly, but we will be inviting nonprofits to submit a report so that we can share the impact, but also, as Missy mentioned at the top of the program, we want to, be able to iterate, and we want to be able to know what went well, what worked, and what could be tweaked. So just broadly, in that first round application, that's open until May 14th. We really just want to know about your organization, and we want to know what you hope your project achieves. And that includes a little section where you'll be able to share the project impact and story. Okay. I'm going to turn it over to Nicole Abair, who's going to give us a little walkthrough so we can see what that portal looks like. And I hope that'll answer a couple questions as well, like how are we asking these questions? So give me one moment to give her the mic. I think we're good and we can see your screen now, Nicole.
All right, perfect. Okay, so as Chaucer mentioned, as I told y'all before, my name's Nicole, and I'm going to walk through kind of the nitty gritty of how to access our Grant Lifecycle Manager and how to go through the process of creating an account and filling out our eligibility quiz and then our interest form. So first of all, the first thing you're going to do is go to our CFA website, and you're going to click on initiatives and then affiliate grants, and that is going to take you to this screen. So once you get here, you're going to scroll down and you're going to click on apply now. So next you're going to click on create a new account, and then you're going to fill out all of this information. As you get to the end of each section, you're going to click next, and it'll take you to each remaining section until you are completed filling out the new user account creation. Once you're done, you are going to get to this screen here, and then you're going to select the appropriate radio button, whether or not you've received an email, you want to continue without checking, or you have not received an email. And then once you finish creating your account, you are going to then decide which project or program you're going to be serving, which parish. So for our purposes here, we're going to pretend like our project or program is going to serve the Iberia Foundation. And we're going to go through the process for the eligibility quiz for the Iberia Foundation grant process. So you'll click Start Eligibility Quiz, and then that's going to take you to this screen. And you're going to go through and answer 4 simple questions here. One is just an acknowledgement. The second is whether or not you're a 501c3 public charity. The third is going to be geographic region, which Chaucer did touch on. Make sure that you select the project or the program, the parish, I'm sorry, for the project or the program that you're going to be serving here. So since we're doing Iberia Parish, we're going to select Iberia Parish as our geographic region. And then a program area. So whatever project or program that you have, you're going to select the program in which it would fall into. So we're going to select youth development, and then we're going to submit that here. Once you have submitted, if you get to this screen and it says your eligibility has been submitted, that means you've been approved. If you get an error message saying that you're ineligible, it's like a pop-up box is going to pop up saying that you're ineligible. If for some reason you feel like you have received an ineligible pop-up in error, we would ask that you contact myself or Chaucer, and we can go on the back and we can have a conversation. And if we feel like you did receive that in error, we can reset it, and then you can go through the process again. So once you've submitted your EQ quiz and you have been deemed eligible, you will click on continue, and you'll be brought to this page, which is basically our letter of interest. So you're going to go down, you're going to see Iberia Parish, and then you're going to see the apply button. So you'll click on that. And then you'll go through this and answer 14, again, pretty simple questions. You're going to enter a project name. You're going to answer basically the same acknowledgement that you had on the eligibility quiz. You'll answer whether or not you are an approved, IRS approved, 501c3 public charity, church, school, or public entity. And then you'll answer questions about your organization. So your organization's name, your mission statement, and anywhere that you see the yellow box next to a question is, it's an opportunity for you to import all of the information from your candid profile, which used to be GuideStar. So you'll click on the yellow button, and if your organization's candid profile is already populated, you'll be able to copy all of that information into this process. If it's not, then you'll continue on and just manually enter. So then you'll answer questions about your organization's total revenue, the year it was founded, and then you'll answer questions about the primary or principal representative's name. So whoever's going to be the primary point of contact for your organization regarding this application is who you're going to want to include on the letter of intent or interest form. And then you will want to also put whoever your board of directors chairwoman or chairman is currently. You want to include that in this field. And then again, you're going to click on whatever project focus area, the amount of the grant that you're requesting. And then you're going to want to tell us just a little story about the project's impact, describing the project and the core impact you think that your grant request will have. And then you'll either save your letter of intent or you'll submit it. Once you've submitted it, you will be brought to this screen. And then once you get back to your home screen, you'll see that your eligibility quiz has been submitted and successful. And then you'll see your letter of interest or intent form here. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have about this program if you want to put those in the chat. And Chas, if there's anything that you feel like I've missed, please chime in.
I'll just note that that same web page, the CFA, well, cfacadiana.org/affiliate-grants, or the same one you can navigate to by going to the website and hovering over initiatives. That web page will have this YouTube recording that Nicole just shared that shows the process of walking through if anybody needs that. It will also have a recording of this webinar, and it will have the PowerPoint presentation. I saw a couple of questions come in. If we would share the PowerPoint or share the recording, yes, we will share that out, and it will also be accessible on the webpage. Yeah, we'll just let some questions come in case there are any.
Okay, I see one. Just how many hours do you estimate it will take for an applicant to complete phase one? I mean, I don't think it would probably take more than an hour to go through both the eligibility quiz and the letter of intent.
I'll cover phase two shortly, just very briefly. So we'll get to that. I'll take over and share my screen again. I think we're good there. Okay. And then I do see that there are some questions that have been put in the Q&A. We'll be able to get to those as we get to the wrap up. So Nicole Flores, I've seen your question. Lauren, I've seen your question, and we'll get to that at the very end. And I see your question as well. Tori and Jamie. So I'll answer that in just a little bit. Okay. I will pick back up. Here we had the question about the second round. That is going to be a little more involved. We, in that phase, we'll be looking for some more in-depth information about the project. One thing to note here is, has the organization completed a similar project? And just digging a little more into the funding request and any supporting documents you may want to share. Overall, it's to just really get a good sense of the project. That makes sense. So again, this second round is going to be invitation based after going through the first round applications. So I won't dwell on it too much. I think we got a question about, will the end report template be shared with the application, or will it be provided with the award letter? This is something that would likely be provided closer to the award letter time period, just so that, not to be too demanding of what is in the report. It's just to detail what expenditures did happen, the outcomes that were achieved by the project, and just to help compare the original planned outcomes with the end result and anything that might be in between there to, how the nonprofit was collecting data about the project and the audience that they were able to serve. Okay. I knew there would be a couple of questions. I do think we've touched on some of these already, but I'll just read through. Can I apply with more than one project? We are encouraging that you submit with one project. And if there are multiple things that you think would all be really viable, or that, let's say, for instance, you did receive more than one grant, is that you kind of needing to think, is that realistic to kind of have both of those things completed within that 1 year time frame? If you think that's something that's super viable, please reach out and talk to myself and Nicole so we can walk through what this all would look like. What if my organization operates in a non-eligible parish, but my proposed project would help me expand into an eligible parish? That's kind of what we talked about, where your new project absolutely does need to serve one of those 5 eligible parishes. You would be able to clearly outline that in your eligibility quiz and the interest form or letter of intent. And so I think that's connected to Tori and Jamie's question. What if you're based in Lafayette, but your program helps all of the other parishes? Again, I think in this stage, yes, go ahead. I'd say first and foremost, reach out to us so we can talk, but I'd say submit so that you can be considered. And just know that in the future, there will be a Acadiana-wide competitive grants process that is currently in development. So it honestly may be that your project would fit better there if you are simultaneously helping a number of other parishes at one time. Since collaboration is emphasized, should each nonprofit agency apply separately or jointly? If you are doing a project that is in very clear collaboration with another, I'd say submit one application. There would not be a need for each to submit separately and to point to the other application. Just submit one application, but make it clear in the impact area and the story that there is more than one organization involved, and how the funding would be dispersed. Any other questions? Oh, let me go to that Q&A section. Okay, Nicole, if we serve multiple parishes, can we apply for different grants through different grants or foundations? Again, first, talk to us. Second, yes, I do think that is possible, so you can be considered, but additionally, it may be best to wait for that later competitive grants process that will be more about the whole region. And then Lauren, you were asking about previous partnerships that you've had with St. Landry directly. Any previous partnerships or conversations or collaborations with the affiliates will remain. This is a separate process and is not necessarily taking the place of any prior conversations that have happened. Okay, just sharing contact information here. Oh, let me adjust that really quickly. I think I got excited.
Chaucer, there's another question in the chat.
Oh, yes. 1 second. Okay. For me, that's C West at CF Acadiana. Again, 1 second. Doing things too quickly. .org. There's another one in the
I'm sorry, it's in the Q&A.
Q&A. Okay, what is the cash match funding or in-kind value match that will be required on the budget or narrative form? There is not necessarily something that is required in order to be considered. If you do have any match funding or in-kind funding that is coming through, that would be good to note, but I will say right now, it is not something that is absolutely required in order for the application to be considered. Does that help? And I just want to make sure that email address is clear if you're taking some notes down. And we've covered the basic information, the rules of the road, emphasized the eligibility, emphasized that there are these 5 different processes that are technically going on concurrently, and that's why we just want to make sure people put their info in the right place. But again, as we've reached basically the end, if there are any other questions, now is the opportunity to put them in the chat. And we will be sending out a follow-up email with links we've mentioned, the page, the webinar, the PowerPoint, all of that. Thank you, Jerry. Okay. With that, please again know that our email inboxes are open, our office is open. If you have questions as you fill this stuff out, please let us know. I'm so glad that many of you have joined us today. And with that, I will just say a thank you to Nicole and a thank you to Missy, and say that I'm excited that we're getting this rolling. And I can't wait for May 14th when they're all in and submitted. Okay. Awesome. Happy Easter to you guys too. Thank you.